Thank you for joining the Illuminators Educational Foundation here as we celebrate 40 years of giving. 40 years, 1985. If we haven't met yet, my name is Paul Kamholtz. I am the president of the Illuminators Educational Foundation, and we're thrilled to welcome you guys to this intimate and exclusive event where our real mission is to thank our donors throughout the years, to celebrate those that won scholarships, and really my goal is to make sure you all leave here passionate to tell your people that you work with that all of them and their immediate families are eligible to win scholarships. So that's the objective of tonight. We need your help. We need you to be passionate about it. We need you to really have this sink in. Please enjoy the drinks and the great food and all that, but leave here going back to your companies, to your organizations, and spreading the word and help. You can connect me directly with your HR people, and I will work to get the word out because we really want to help change lives. First, I want to recognize the Educational Foundation Board of Trustees that are here and past presidents. I want to say thanks to Mary and Willie Crocker, Dave Diamond, Mike Ajemian, Shelley Trickle, Arnie Gamboa, Jim Van Gorkum, Gary Pogue, Vic Chiono. I don't see Glenn Roper. I don't see Glenn. Glenn's not here. Glenn and Carol are not here. My younger brother, Hal Adams, and my good friend, Bob Kelly. So we kept this a casual event, a low-key. We just really want to do the things that I already articulated, and we're grateful that we've had several speakers step up and offer to tell their story. And really what I think what you're gonna hear is gonna be impactful because in some cases it's real life. I mean, there are people that will talk about how getting a scholarship changed the trajectory of their life. I want to be clear that the Illuminators, great organization, is completely separate from the Illuminators Educational Foundation. We work together, we have parallel missions, we do a lot of things together, but we are two separate organizations and we work at arm's length. We may work arm in arm, but it's always at arm's length. So with that, for those of you that don't know the history of the IEF, I'd like to share a little animated video for you to give you a little idea behind the scenes of what happened.
Illuminators Educational Foundation. A little history. The Illuminators were founded in 1928 when a group of 51 food industry leaders got together to provide entertainment at the California Retail Grocers and Merchants Association annual convention. Today, the Illuminators is an organization of vendors, brokers, and suppliers dedicated to developing and enhancing key relationships within the grocery industry, providing opportunities for education, personal and professional growth, while still working behind the scenes to make the Western Association of Food Chains and California Grocers Association more fun. At an Illuminator board meeting in 1985, a motion was passed to award one scholarship in the amount of $500, funds that were donated by a generous past president, or dimmed headlight in Illuminator lingo. One $500 scholarship was awarded each of the next 3 years until two were awarded from 1989 through 1994. At the urging of another dimmed headlight, the Illuminator board agreed to donate $25 a year to help build the fund and offer more scholarships. In 2006, the Illuminator Board of Directors voted to create and support an independent, not-for-profit foundation to promote, accept donations, and provide scholarships in perpetuity. The Illuminator Educational Foundation was born. Thanks to the support of generous donors and several grants, today the IEF has awarded more than $1.8 million in scholarships, with nearly $200,000 awarded in 2025. If you work for a grocery retailer, or if someone in your company is an Illuminator, you're eligible to apply. So are all members of your immediate family. For Illuminator members, every person that works for your company is eligible to apply, as is their immediate family. The IEF offers scholarships for students, young and old, attending traditional universities, community colleges, and even trade schools. Scholarships are available whether or not you're pursuing a career in food and grocery. Applicants can be pursuing careers as an auto mechanic, nurse, or construction worker. There's no limitation. For so many, a little financial assistance is all that's needed for someone to take a chance that will change the trajectory of their life. To be clear, if someone in your company is a member of the Illuminators, WAFC, or CGA, you're eligible. Even if you yourself are not a member of one of those organizations, you and your immediate family is eligible if the company you work for is a member of the Illuminators, WAFC, or CGA. So let us help you get the word out to your people and culture and human resource teams so as many people as possible can know this is available to them. While there are no guarantees, the odds of winning a scholarship are greater than most, and applying is easy. Please go to iefscholarships.org today to learn more.
Pretty cool, huh? It's amazing. So it started in 1985. The dimmed headlight that they talked about that kicked in the first $500 was Ray Kiefer. He was a headlight in 1968. And many years later, he said, let's get this going. They also referenced a dimmed headlight there that said, hey, we should all start kicking in $25 a year, right? Not too much. And it was hard, and there was some opposition, but it happened. Well, that man happens to be here tonight. I'd like to welcome my friend Hal Adams to come on up to the stage.
Thank you, big brother. Good evening, all. First of all, I think would be remiss if we didn't recognize the great events that have been happening around the world today, that it is going to impact families all over the world. And I think that should have recognition. And next, I would like to congratulate the young people and women that are involved in the WAFC today. You know, back when I was first in the Illuminators, there were no women. Oh yeah. Seems like two worlds ago now, but regrettably, those were facts. But I am so honored to be able to be asked. I'm so honored to be invited back to things, and thank you for that. I'm not sure, but I probably am the oldest reviving also, Illuminator. I started this organization in 1969, and of course we're here tonight to talk about the scholarship fund, in which I was also privileged to be part of getting that started in our, and it was not an easy feat, I'll tell you. We had people that weren't approving. We thought, well, that we'll have legal problems, and me and two other people, and one of them is an honor light and lives in Northern California, and of course some of you here know him well. Our friend Clem Teeters. He was one of our first honor lights, and he worked for two different salt companies during those days. We never knew which one it was, but but he always had the habit of, no matter what table we sat down at, was taking a handful of salt and throw it over his shoulder. But for 3 years, we investigated the idea of starting a scholarship fund. The year we got it approved, we had a headlight that really didn't approve of it, or us even starting it. But he did approve it because he was kind of overwhelmed by the majority of us that wanted to do it. His name was Bob Zen. Some of you may be old enough to remember Bob Zen. Of course, Jim Lee's old enough to remember everybody. So, Yeah, he's the only guy that was taller than Jim Lee. I'm not sure how tall he was, but he looked like he was 8 feet tall to me when I was standing beside him. Unfortunately, the year Bob Zinn approved that, he had to go take a physical, and as he was doing a stress test on the treadmill, got a severe heart attack and passed away on the treadmill. Yeah, it happens. But he was a great guy. He was owned a great brokerage company in Southern California, well liked by all of the industry, and of course well recognized by the Illuminators, and they did contribute a lot to the Illuminators. But I just want to congratulate the young people that have gotten involved in this organization and really pushing it forward. And that is the future of all things that we have going. And I appreciate that. Keep it up. I guess just my brother wanted me to talk about what all we did to get this started, but it was just a lot of camaraderie among Illuminators and people that agreed on one idea, and we worked at it. And thank God, everybody that came along year after that, every year got a better idea, a better way to do things, and yes, it was improved every year. And that I think we can all be thankful for. And we think we're doing great now. It'll be even better.
I don't know, I'm in charge now.
Yeah. So. But thank you, all of you, and it's such a great honor for me to be invited back to the WFC events and just to be part of it. And even though most of you I don't know personally, like we did in the days that I was involved in everything, and I would like to get to know you better, but I am just honored to be here and be recognized, and thank you, brother.
You need the best. So, just a quick story, off script, sorry, Dom. Several CGAs ago, I was getting up, and at the time I was running the golf tournament for the CGA, and I'm getting up at like 5 in the morning. I'm out the door at 5 in the morning, and as I'm walking out, Hal's walking in, and I was like, "Whoa, big night out here in Palm Springs?" And he's like, "No, I just did my 3-mile walk." I was like, accept his offer. Get to know the man. He is incredible. He's a wonderful human being and one of my very favorites. Hal, thank you. So education is the pillar for the IEF. It's also the pillar for the WAFC. And it's one of the pillars for the Illuminators. Please welcome the COO of the Western Association of Food Chains, Pat Posey, and our friend, Lori Brown, our current Illuminator headlight.
Thank you, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, Lori Brown.
And Mr. Pat Posey.
Oh boy, I got to get something out here. So we're going to let Lori speak second because I threw together a few notes and I think she's going to do way better at this than I am. So first of all, I want to thank the Illuminators for putting this together, for having us all here, and thank you, Paul, for the opportunity to talk about the Illuminators and 40 years of giving. Thank you, Lori.
Got you.
As Paul mentioned, I think I know most of the people in the room. My name is Pat Posey, and I'm privileged to be working for the Western Association of Food Chains, which we call the WAFC, and promoting and encouraging education with our great industry. The WAFC and Illuminators have had a long history of working together and promoting education within the industry, and later this evening, Cherie Phipps and Andrea Diamond and I believe Mike Hendry are going to come up here and talk about our great program, so I'm not going to dig into those. But just wanted to kind of tee that up and make sure you guys are ready for that. So for now, what I thought I would talk about is kind of review what that video said, because what came across in that video is something that I didn't know, and I think it's so important. So in 1985, one scholarship of $500 was awarded. That was 40 years ago, and that's why we're here tonight. So one scholarship for $500. And then 3 years later, in 1989, there was a second $500 scholarship that somebody awarded, and I think Paul said who they were, but I don't know them. And then they started collecting $25 a year from each member of the Illuminators. And I did some quick math, and that's less than 7 cents a day. Hal, thanks for the 7 cents. Where'd you go? I mean, seriously, for someone to have the wherewithal to think about that and start pulling money together like that, and then looks at what it develops into such a huge war chest. In 2006, the Illuminators started the IEF, and over the next 19 years, the IEF has awarded over $1.8 million in scholarships and $200,000 alone this year. That's huge. And it started from one man's vision of giving $500, probably because he wanted a tax write-off. And then he told his buddy, and his buddy wanted the tax write-off. And then Hal decided to give up 7 cents a day. And look what's happened. And as the video stated, just about everybody in this room is eligible for these scholarships. And you don't have to be in the grocery industry necessarily to do it. You just have to be related to the grocery industry. So you guys got to help me out here a little bit. If you want to be a teacher, the Illuminators want to help. If you want to be a scientist, the Illuminators want to help. If you want to be an astronaut, the Illuminators want to help. Okay, we got 2 more. If you want to be an auto mechanic, and 1 more. If you want to be a doctor, the Illuminators want to help. Because they don't care. They don't decipher on where you're going to spend your money or what your education is going to do. If you're involved in this industry, they want to help you move forward and become educated, because that is the key. Yep. So lastly, I'd like to thank everybody that has contributed to the IEF fund for the past 19 years. And I think Paul later is going to tell us how we can do a little better, because you're all making a difference. And I can tell you that because I see the results every day. So thank you. And now the real speaker, Lori Brown.
Thank you, Pat. Did he use up all of our time? Are we good? I got like another 2 minutes left, right? I don't have notes, so just bear with me here. So the Illuminators have been around, as you heard, for 98 years, right? We're getting ready to celebrate our big 100-year celebration here. And that doesn't happen by accident. That's people that keep showing up. Thank you, Hal. Where's Arnie? Thank you, Arnie. We've got a couple of our seasoned guys here, veterans, that have been around a while. And as Paul mentioned, the pillars of the Illuminators are education, leadership, and partnering. And that's what this is all about. And I know I'm already speaking to a room of supporters here, because that's why you're all here. You already believe in what we're doing, right? So we need to continue to spread the gospel. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey for education. I graduated in, I was really young, but 1986, University of Puget Sound. And I was working in a grocery store. I went to school during the day, and I had the 4 p.m. to 1 closing PIC shift at night. I don't know how I made it through my 8 o'clock classes, but I did. And I graduated, and I was just really proud of myself. And I told my district manager, hey, I just got my business degree, minor in communication, really excited. And you know what he told me? He said, you should keep that under your hat, Lori. And you know why? Because in that time, not a lot of the grocery people had degrees. The grocery managers, the grocery directors, they started out as what? Helper clerks, box boys, cashiers, worked their way through the system. And education in the food industry, it wasn't like this. You didn't see pictures of young people earning scholarships. So I didn't let that stop me. I kept going, I kept growing, and I had an opportunity as an Illuminator, thanks to this guy right here, to get a scholarship in the Food Industry Executive Program at USC. And that was life-changing for me. That 1 week being on campus, Miss Sabrina would drag me out of bed and make me go and have late night. Just, yeah, it was good. We survived. But what I learned about when I was at USC, first of all, something more than I learned when I was getting my bachelor's program degree, that was really just about getting an education. But then I learned about, no, it's really about connecting and getting to know people and making these friendships that last forever. I also learned about the master's program when I was at USC. If I wouldn't have been there, I wouldn't have known about that, and took that leap and earned my master's in food industry leadership. And a couple of those people here too. Miss Elizabeth got me through that. So you never know where your journey's going to take you. Both of my sons also, so besides that, I earned a very generous scholarship, thank you, from the WAFC to get through my master's program. Both of my sons, they're not doctors or mechanics, but they are marine engineers. So the guys down in the ship with the wrenches, they both earned scholarships as well. So very, very grateful and very thankful for that. As leaders, I would just tell you, what you say to these young graduates, what you say to the people up and coming in your company, it matters. They remember the things that you tell them. They remember those words of wisdom or words of encouragement. You know, Greg McNiff telling somebody something, he might think he's just sharing something, but people remember, and it's real important. So as leaders, I ask you to just, you know, continue to nurture and help grow the folks in our industry. Did I use up my time? But anyway, just really want to thank you all for being here. I know you're all supporters. We're all here to support this industry, but let's not keep it in this room. We need to continue to spread the gospel. The scholarships are open right now. The RMC program is Cherie Phipps right here. If you're not spreading the word about that for everyone in your store, it's such a great stepping stone to get to that next step to go after your bachelor's degree too. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all for your support.
Get a selfie. Come here, Pat.
We have to do selfie first. But first a selfie. Camera's wrong. Just kidding.
Oh, I got all you guys. Thank you, guys. That was pretty awesome and great story, Lori. And Pat, you're very funny still. You should listen to me more. I think that says a lot, what they just said. So as many of you know, Pat followed in the footsteps of Carol Christensen, who we lost to leukemia recently. And I was lucky to spend several days with her while she was at the City of Hope, and she was battling. And honestly, before I left on vacation, which she helped plan, by the way, I truly felt that she would be back home before we got home from Ireland. And sadly, that didn't happen. Crushing. In one of my last visits with her at the City of Hope, she was in fuego. She was on fire, having fun, and she handed me a really generous check for the IEF. That was Carol. That's just the person she was. I miss her a lot. And she and Paul were both instrumental in my life, in my career, but they were also instrumental in building the IEF and the Illuminators. We're fortunate to have one of her beautiful daughters here, Amanda Christensen. And I've told you this, but I think of your mom every day, and you every day. You're in my prayers every day, you and your family, you and Ashley and the families. You guys mean a lot to all of us that are in this room. And if I'm not out of school, Carol's Celebration of Life is a week from Sunday, and it's at Old Ranch Country Club in Seal Beach, 10 a.m.? 2 p.m. Don't get there at 10. I'll be there at 10, but don't get there at 10. But everybody's welcome. So Amanda, would you come up here? I have something for you. I'm actually shocked that I got through that without crying. With that, would you please join me, if you have your glasses there, a toast to Carol, to Paul, the Christensens, and to all of you for being here and helping change lives. We appreciate your support. God bless you all. Cheers. Before we get going any further, I think I want to say thanks to our friends here at the Hilton, especially Janice and the entire crew, everybody that's working. appreciate you guys very much for making this a very special night. We have a lot of celebrities in the room, a lot of dimmed headlights. So I think, where's Sabrina? We're going to do a dimmed headlight photo after the event. So if you dimmed headlights would stick around, we'll take a picture. We don't often all get together, so it'll be nice to have everybody here. All right, so we're going to continue our program with some more great stories. People that literally had their life trajectories changed. They'll tell you those stories because of the scholarships, whether it was an IEF scholarship or WFC or CGA or whatever. It's just the little kick that you might need to move on and change your life. As I was watching one of the videos from one of the recipients, she talked about how she was the very first person in their family to go to college. And part of the reason she's going to college is because she got a scholarship. So now think about her kids and her grandkids and how that's really going to change the trajectory. There it is back there. So with that, I want to kick this next part off with another video. Many of you don't know Katie Latanzi. Her maiden name was Katie Duff. I know Sheree knows her. I met Katie when she was a teenager, maybe a 20-year-old. Her dad, Bill Duff, worked for the C&H Sugar Company, and he was one of the guys that kind of lured me into the Illuminators. And he was a big guy, and he put his big paw on me, and he says, "You really need to get involved." And I said, "Yes, sir." And I did. So Katie will share her video here. There's some pretty cool stuff in here. She's doing very well in her life, as you will hear. So with that, Dom, if we're ready, why don't we kick off the Katie video?
Hi Illuminators, my name is Katie Latanzi, and I hope you are all enjoying celebrating 40 years of the Illuminator Educational Fund. Such an amazing milestone for the company and for the industry. So I just wanted to say hi and tell you a little bit about my experience with the Illuminators and the Illuminators Educational Foundation over the years. I've been attending the WAFC convention since I was a kid. I would go with my dad, Bill Duff, who was with C&H Sugar for 42 years. And I just remember the amazing hospitality that the industry had to offer. And it was really created by the Illuminators, as you guys know. And I loved the social aspect of the industry. I really enjoyed the camaraderie, and it really helped shape and form my career as I went to college and majored in business and started in CPG 24 years ago. And also when I started in CPG, I started in the Illuminators, followed in my dad's footsteps there. I served on the board and also helped out with the Illuminators Educational Foundation. And I'm currently with Swire Coca-Cola. I'm the VP GM of sales for Swire Coca-Cola out of Salt Lake City. But as I was serving on the Illuminators Educational Fund, I remembered that my dad actually had that same role. And when we were kids, my sister and I would help sort through all the applications and put them, organize them into potential winners. But what was so cool was reading the applications and hearing about the passion and the hard work of these applicants, trying to get into college. And I think my sister and I really learned from that. And it, helped form our aspirations as we headed into college or thinking about college. And then a few years later, my sister actually was awarded one of the scholarships through the Illuminators Educational Foundation. And although she didn't choose to be in CPG with all of us, we are super proud of her. She's an amazing elementary school teacher, shaping our youth, and does a fantastic job. So I just wanted to say hi. I wanted to say thank you so much to the Illuminators, the current and the past members, for everything they do and have done to keep this industry vibrant, to keep the industry strong for many years to come. Obviously, the Illuminator Educational Foundation is such a critical piece of that and helps families in the industry. So thank you so much to everybody who donates, to our grantor companies, and for everybody past and present that has served as a volunteer on the Illuminators Educational Foundation. So much appreciated. And really, these scholarships do change the course of someone's life when they get them, and it's so important to continue to support it. So I hope you guys have so much fun at the event, and I hope you consider donating to this amazing cause. And thank you for letting me say hi. I hope you're well. Thanks. Bye.
Wasn't that great? So as we were talking about, and back in the day, she told a story of when she was a teenager, she and her dad sitting on the shag carpet. I'm not even sure if there is shag carpet anymore, but they were sitting on the shag carpet, and they would get the applications and they would put them into piles. Yes, this is good, this is a maybe, and this is a no. She was part of that process. She would read the essays and she would do it. Today, we've evolved. We have an independent, unbiased third party that does that for us. I'm not sure if they have shag carpets, but that's what they do. But I thought that was a really cool moment in time, just thinking back to what their couch looked like, what they were doing, probably drinking hot cocoa and going through the applications. I thought that was cool, and I'm very thankful for her to send this. Her daughter's a pretty good volleyball player in Utah, and so they're off at some tournament right now, so she couldn't be here, otherwise she would have been. So with that, we'll move on to our next great story. I'd like to welcome current Illuminator highlight, Elizabeth Alvarez-Sell, who's Division Sales Manager US for Ajinomoto Foods, to the stage, and she's going to share a pretty telling story about her journey. Liz?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me here and allowing me to tell my journey. Education is something that I feel very strongly about and I'm very passionate about. I'm first generation in every way. My mom and dad are immigrant parents, and they always told us, the path forward for you is going to be education. That is how you're going to make it. And my sister and I, we absolutely fully bought into that. And there was almost no choice that we were going to figure out how to get to college, and that was our path. And we both were the first in our family to go to college and graduate from college. And I'm proud to say that I'm the first in my family to hold a master's degree. And for me, that was a goal that I thought almost didn't happen. Thank you. Thank you. And I definitely owe a lot to the IEF and the WAFC for that investment. I went to Cal State San Bernardino. That's where I got my 909er right here. Definitely proud IE, born and raised. And that's my roots. And I will say, I worked my way through college, like most of us here, student loans, scholarships, paid my way, and I graduated with a degree in English literature. And I thought that teaching was going to be my path. I was like, I'm going to be a teacher. And then I quickly realized that the classroom wasn't for me, and I think you do a disservice if you're in a classroom and you shouldn't be there, and I knew that wasn't for me. And so I pivoted, and I did what anybody did back in 1999, the 1900s, and I went to my local newspaper, got the classified ads, and I said, okay, let me find a job. Like, where am I going? And I saw an ad. I didn't even know what it was, but it was a sales service rep working for Zaki Farms. That was my first job in the food industry. I applied for the job, interviewed, was hired, and I didn't look back. I was hooked. Sales was my path, and it's definitely offered me so many opportunities I didn't even know were possible. And so as I grew in my career, you think about, oh, one day I'm going to go back to school, but you think like, oh, not this year, maybe next year, and then that dream of going back to school to get a master's just sort of fades away. And that's kind of what happened to me. And then fast forward to 2016, I get a random call from my boss at the time, Greg Bailey at the Hershey Company, and he said, hey, Elizabeth, how would you like to go to the USC Food Industry Management Program? And stunned silence was my immediate response because Hershey had never sent anybody, and it's something that I always wanted to do, but I didn't think that that was possible for me. And so of course I said yes. And what I came to find out years later, and it was probably 5 years after I did it, was someone advocated for me. And that person is Mike Hendry, Northgate Markets. And I didn't know that for a long time. And I wouldn't be here talking to you about this if it wasn't for Mike, so thank you. And I will say that scholarship that I received to attend the FIM program, for me, it was life-changing because it's a 16-week sabbatical, and that's how I think about it, 16 weeks. And I invested in myself. I was around people that were like me, that were excited to learn, and it reignited my passion for education. And ultimately, I made the choice that I was going to go back to school and get a master's. So fast forward to a year later after graduating, I met with Cynthia McLeod. She knew that I wanted to go back to school. And we met for breakfast, and she said, Elizabeth, it's going to happen. And I don't know that I heard anything else but blah, 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 master's program. And I was like, yes, I am in, sign me up. And I received another scholarship not long after. I found out I was eligible for another scholarship. So 2 scholarships from WAFC IEF partnership. And they were definitely generous scholarships. And I'm so grateful because the way I look at these scholarships, it's not financial, it's more, hey, I believe in you, you're a good investment. And that's how I've looked at it. And in 2020, I am proud to say I got a master's degree from the University of Southern California. And I have done that, but I'm very proud of that, and I carry that legacy. And for my family, I'm so proud of that effort. I say all this to you because that scholarship made a difference to me. It made a difference in my life, and it made a difference for my family. And I wouldn't be here without that. So one of the things that I'll leave you with is if there's someone in your organization or someone in your family that you see potential in, advocate for them, because that is what happened to me. Someone advocated for me and believed in me and believed that I could do it. Mike was one of them, thank you. And I'm here today, so if you have the opportunity to get them involved, have them sign up for a scholarship through the IEF. You never know how far that's going to take them. And for me, it truly changed my life. And I will say, lastly, that what we do here does transform people's lives. So thank you for investing in me, and thank you for continuing to change the lives through the power of education.
Pretty awesome story. And I think I told you guys that this is real life. It really did change her life. Thank you for sharing that, Liz. Next up is our friend, Carla Ash. Carla is the Vice President of Human Resources at Gelson's. I will say a lot of companies here do a great job of getting the word out, but there are a few that do it better than Gelson's and reaching their people and their families and letting them know that they're eligible to win scholarships. And if you look around the room, there's quite a few of Gelson's employees or their family that have won scholarships. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Carla and let her tell her story. Thank you.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. First, I want to give a huge congratulations to the Illuminators Education Foundation on this tremendous milestone. I think the lives that have been impacted over the last 40 years are probably too numerous to count. My story is just a small part of that legacy. Like so many here tonight, I didn't grow up dreaming of getting into the grocery industry. I started at Gelson's as a temp on a 30-day assignment. No degree, no experience, just a strong work ethic from my parents and the need for a stable paycheck. I quickly discovered that I had a knack for HR, and my boss at the time thought going to get an HR certificate was a good idea. Gelson's had a tuition reimbursement program, but as a single mom at the time, living paycheck to paycheck, that meant that I had to pay for the school first and then wait a few months before I got reimbursed. And that was just not gonna be possible for me. So she made an exception to the policy, fronted the cost, and I got my first HR certificate. That gift let me know that this industry was serious about education and that there were people that would make a way when there seemingly seemed like there was none. Fast forward to later in my career, a few promotions later, and a new boss who made it clear that the only way I was going to grow further would be if I got an education. It was then that I started to dream about what a degree might look like for me. Paying for school and raising a family seemed completely impossible. But somewhere along the way, there were people like Jackie, Slobum, and Hisuk, and Donna that pushed me to apply for scholarships. And then over the next few years, I applied and was granted multiple scholarships, and a couple of them I got from the IEF. And finally, in December of last year, I graduated cum laude from Cal Poly at Humboldt with a bachelor's degree in leadership. Completely debt-free. I share this small part of my journey to help all of you understand the impact of the donations through the IEF and other organizations like it. Not only has my life changed, but the lives of my children, my nieces and nephews, and also the people that I mentor and lead in my organization. I started as a temp, filing papers and personnel files, and 20 years later, I lead the human resources function at Gelson's. I know my story isn't unique. There are a lot of people that started as box boys and ended up presidents of companies. And maybe those people aren't working for your organization, but there's people throughout the country that have gotten scholarships that have gone on to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, and their moms or dads or brothers and sisters are working at your organization and reaping the benefits of those scholarships to those in their family. Today, a year at a university can cost about $11,000 just for tuition and fees. This cost is only going up year over year. And it's up to us, those who have gotten scholarships, to make sure that we pass along the message. All of us in this room at some level have some level of responsibility, and we are building the next generation of grocers, category managers, nurses, teachers. By continuing to support the Illuminators, we are not only making our organizations better, but we're strengthening families and communities. Education is truly a gift that allows one to think differently, bring new ideas to the table, and grow in unimaginable ways. Everyone should have access to the level of education that they desire. And for a lot of those working in your stores and your companies, they just don't see it as a possibility. And so these scholarships give them a chance. I am truly grateful for the role the Illuminator Foundation has played in my life and thankful for the opportunity to give back. And so as I close, I urge each of you to share the scholarship application with the graduating senior or current college student in your own family. Make a donation or even share your wisdom and your time with the young person. You truly have the opportunity to change a life.
So thank you to those that have spoke. Now, we're going to bring up a couple or three industry icons. I'd like you to welcome Sharif Phipps, who runs the Retail Management Certificate Program for the WFC and really changes lives. Andrea Diamond, the new executive director of food industry programs at USC, also changing lives. And I'm pretty sure Liz just told you, Mike Hendry, who's EVP of Marketing Merchandising for Northgate Markets, the WAFC Education Chair, and I think retailer in residence at USC right now. He's already changed lives. He's probably going to change a few more. So would you three come up and tell your stories?
They said I'm first. I have been in the grocery industry since before I was born. Third generation grocery, started out pushing in carts and bagging groceries like everybody else. And as I was working my way up in the stores, my dad said, you need to go to college. So having parents that really advocate for that is really important. And I spent many years working in 2 different grocery chains, found my love in talent development and helping transform other people's lives. And it is such a joy and a privilege to be the founding director of the Retail Management Certificate Program and to have the WAFC recognize it as it was a grassroots effort in Southern California and ask me to join the team and put the wind underneath my wings in order to take the program that was here in Southern California and scale it nationwide. So in a blink of an eye, we have about 7,000 graduates. We'll probably announce that in the next few weeks. And it's really been a remarkable journey to be a part of that and to see so many lives changed. It's also a joy that our pure mission is to transform lives through learning at the WAFC. And the 3 of us standing here work so closely together to make that a reality for so many people. But here, with the Illuminators and our partnership, and I'm going back to remembering when Dave Grossi was sort of leading this charge, and then Mary Crocker, and talking to me about how do we deepen this partnership? How do we make sure that the Illuminator Education Foundation really aligns with what you're doing at the WAFC? And here's the easy answer. The Retail Management Certificate is the beginning of the education pathway for more than 70% of our industry. Only 32% of the people who work in the whole grocery sector have an associate degree or higher, and that's 20% less than the mainstream population. Adults across the nation, 52% have an associate degree or higher. Overall, that seems pretty low. And it feels like we could be doing so much to make sure that our industry helps lead the way with education. But even 25 years into this role, that statistic has only moved 1%. Only 33% of our industry has an associate degree or higher. Well, what we know is if we start them, if we introduce them to the Retail Management Certificate, not only are we going to impact their career, so I'm going to do a shout out about the impact of the Retail Management Certificate. First of all, if you put 3 people through it, you're going to have them with your company minimum 5 years longer. The return on investment is massive. Second, for them personally, they're going to get twice as many promotions, and they're 3 times more likely to hit store director or higher if they're on the retail side. But this is for everyone, the whole supplier side. We have 2 Gavina associates getting ready to graduate. We were just talking about that. Yeah. And I love when the whole supplier side gets involved and uses the program too. But what I wanted to go back to is the impact of the program beyond career is that an education they never thought they could have or wanted to have, and why would they need it? But then they found out it made a big difference with their career. The other thing that it does is help them see, wow, I can be successful academically. What's my next step? How do we help them with the next step? Carla and Liz described how hard it is to find the money, the means, to take that next step. 95% of the people who use the retail management certificate, their companies are prepaying the tuition. But after those 8 classes, that well runs dry. And that is why it's so important to have the Illuminator Education Foundation. Over 50% of the scholarship opportunities every year now, retail management graduates are eligible for and are even key candidates for, to get your associate degree, to go on for a bachelor's degree, and more. Do you know that today the student loan debt is $1.8 trillion? 42 million Americans are part of that debt, trying to pay it back. What does it look like for us to invest in the future of our industry and keeping people out of debt? Carla's story is so amazing that she went after those scholarships, and some of them were from the Illuminators Education Foundation. Near and dear to my heart, and I thank the Illuminators, the Education Foundation, every day for our partnership.
I'm going to share a story, a number that might surprise you. 52% of the people that have graduated from the FIM program in the last 10 years are senior leaders or executives in our industry. Think about it. Over half of the graduates are senior leaders or executives. So what that means is that if you are a FIM graduate, you are 3 times more likely to get promoted than your peers. So tonight, I want to share 2 things that bring education to life. The first is transformation, and the second is gratitude. So transformation, let me start with a brief little story about myself. My mom was a single mom, an executive secretary, raising 2 children by herself. We had a very modest upbringing. Sometimes the lights would be turned off because she couldn't afford to pay the bills. Oftentimes she worked 3 jobs just to put food on the table. And I recall at a young age thinking, I want a better life. I didn't know what that better life would be, but I knew education was the path. And so I went to school. When I was in high school trying to find my path, I knew that education was it. When I graduated from UCLA, doors opened, and that changed my life. One of the things that happened is that I landed this amazing career in the food industry where I met my husband and we built a family. Then I got to a point where I felt that I needed more. I was stuck, and I had the opportunity to go to FIM, the Food Industry Management Program, thanks to a scholarship from the WAFC, and that excelled my career. It was at that point that I knew I wanted to give back to others and serve and help them get an education too. So years later, when there was an opportunity to get a master's degree from USC in food industry leadership, I jumped on it. Fight on, another scholarship from the WAFC. So you can see how transformational education is. It not only changes careers, but it changes lives. And so on my second message, gratitude, I think about, this reminds me of a quote from my mentor and friend, Dr. Cynthia McLeod. She said, an impactful leader has a unique DNA, a disciplined negotiator of change, always inspiring hope. And tonight, you being here, if you donate to the Illuminators, if you've donated to the IEF, and if you are a donator to the WAFC, you are that leader. You are shaping change and inspiring hope in those like me when I was in high school looking for a path and giving people the power of education. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being that leader.
Damn it. You're never supposed to speak after really good speakers. So, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm losing my voice. So you're all lucky tonight because I'll only speak for about 45 minutes. I'll start by saying, Elizabeth, you didn't need my advocacy. The first time I met you, I could tell you were a ball of fire, and I knew you were going to go far. And you know, I may have talked to Hershey about sending somebody and really was pumping them up on that, but it was easy for them to pick you. So that was an easy one. So congratulations on that. You know, this is a kind of a cool event. I want to talk about connections, right? It's kind of cool that this is a small group. If you look around, look at the people at your table. These are the guys and girls that make it happen all the time, right? We go to events all the time, and sometimes the groups are bigger. But when you look around, these are the folks that make it happen, and it's so fun to see everybody that makes a difference. And so thank you guys for being here, because really, there's probably 10 or 15 tables. You guys are kind of the core. So congratulations and thank you for all that you guys do. Thank you for the Illuminators and IEF for having us here and putting on this kind of a fun, quaint event. And Paul, thanks for calling 4 or 5 months ago and saying, hey, we need you guys here. So it wasn't a problem to say yes and do this. So thank you guys. You all deserve your own round of applause. You know, another connection is, you know, Paul talked about a pillar of education. When I decided to come to Northgate almost 14 years ago, it was easy because I picked a company that culturally was a great fit. The family is wonderful. The business is great. But more than anything, they believed in community, in education, and faith. And that's kind of where I was at. You know, I'm on the back nine of my career. Maybe on about the 15th hole, maybe? What do you think? Yeah, somewhere around there? Yeah. You know, education was important to me. Another connection is I'm also part of a 3-generation family in this industry. My dad, my uncle, myself, and my wife, who's here tonight. That's how we met. And my daughter, some of you guys know Dana. So we have a lot of folks in our family that have been a part of this industry, and it's so cherished, right? And another connection, of course, is everybody knows famously my dad graduated with Cherie in 1987. Mm-hmm. Yep, 1987, got it right. And so there's a lot of connections here that are wonderful. So I won't bore you with my educational history because I've said it before, but I will tell you I wouldn't be here if I didn't go through the programs that WAFC offers and that IEF sponsors, and it's a special, special place. I will leave you with one last connection. You guys know Pat Posey, right? This guy over here? So Pat and I share a lot in common. We're the same age. We graduated the same year. We know a lot of same folks. We even have some high school friends that are common that we've known over the years. We're both moderately good-looking middle-aged men, right? I'll let you guys figure out which one's moderate. Another thing we share is that we have a couple of kids that both applied for the scholarships multiple times and were denied. Okay, so Trent, sorry to call you out, but if Dana was here, she would also, I would call her out as well. So it's another linkage that we have. But you know, I thought about this, and Pat, don't worry, I'm gonna pay for this. But I decided that I'm gonna donate $500 to commemorate Trent and Dana, and to keep the scholarship alive. We're gonna do it, and we're gonna honor you guys. Okay? See, how's that feel? All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for everything.
First, I would like to say thank you to our IEF committee. that made this happen. Where is Catherine? So some of you may recognize Catherine from all the great work that she did for CCEJ. That's when I first met her. Catherine Michaelham, I want to say thank you very much, because you have been my boss. You have pulled this together with everybody, so thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. You guys should know her. Thank you. So Carla talked about getting the word out to people. One way you can do that is right here. This brochure, take it back, share it. Let us know if you need posters. Let us know if we can make phone calls or come in and do an elevator pitch of what we are and who we help and all that. We're 100% in. So please reach out and help. We're happy to help you guys get the word out. So when I mentioned all of the board members and past presidents of the IEF, I specifically left 2 people out because I wanted to recognize them for their support. One of them's on his phone right now. Okay, love you. I love Alex, but tell her she's gonna have to wait for just a sec. First, I want to recognize somebody you guys all know and love, and that's Mickey Sharp Villanueva. Like she's done for so many events across a variety of different charities, the Illuminators and everything else, she gave it her all, and along with Catherine and our committee, she made this happen today. So Mickey, I want to say thank you for that. Mickey, would you please come up? I'm going to need 2 hands, but I'm going to say right now, I have learned so much from Mickey, not just in what she says and what she tells me to do, but also, which is true, but also how she does it, and the fact that she just executes and gets stuff done. And Dave Diamond and Mickey Sharp Villanueva pay so much attention to detail, punctuation marks, and everything beyond. It made me, I'm not as good as them, keep your expectations low, but I learned a lot from you, and I gratefully thank you for all you've done and for all you do. Wow. So this is for you. Wait, and you're not done. So we also have this recognition, and it's from the Illuminators Educational Foundation, Changing Life Trajectories, presented to Mickey Sharp Villanueva. The Illuminators Educational Foundation is forever in your debt. For your contributions over many years, you helped shape the foundation, and we greatly appreciate your numerous contributions. You helped change lives for the better. Thank you.
I have to say one thing to Paul. When we were going through rehearsal today, he made a comment, and I go, Paul? Mickey, just wait.
And she was right, she made it better.
And later he came back to me and he goes, no, did you have feedback? And I said, yes. He announced himself as president of the Illuminator organization. I said, no, you're president of the Illuminator Foundation. But I also was going to say one other thing to you. I don't think you said my name earlier, but I held back. I did not say that.
I had something special for you. So everybody, thanks to Mickey. She does everything. Thank you. The other person I didn't mention on our board and our immediate past president is Dave Grossi. And there are a lot of people in this room that put others before themselves. Most of you that I know. But he's one guy, he does it for the cause. He definitely does not do it for the applause. He gives back to others, and I just sit for the last decade and just watch all that he does without any recognition, keeps it under the radar, and just gets stuff done. Most recently, we were at a City of Hope Topgolf event. 3 hours, lots of fun, lots of good drinks and food and not so good golf. And $400,000 was raised to help those folks, those researchers at City of Hope. So I don't even know all the organizations, but I know he really helps the IEF, he really helps Olive Crest, he really helps City of Hope, and there's many more. I know he's a faithful man, and he helps at his church. I want you to know that you try to stay under the radar, but we see you, buddy. and we love you, and we appreciate all that you do. So with that, please come up. From the Illuminators Educational Foundation, Changing Life's Trajectories, David Grossi. The Illuminators Educational Foundation is forever in your debt for your contributions over many years. You helped shape the foundation, and we greatly appreciate your numerous contributions. You helped change lives for the better. Thank you. Here, Dave. Oh, that was great. So I mentioned at the outset that our goals today were to thank our donors, everybody that has contributed throughout the years. I want to celebrate the scholarship winners, all the people that are around the room, the pictures. That was just this year. And I want to make sure you're all fired up when you get out of here. You scan this QR code. This QR code will take you to our website. You can navigate your way to where the scholarship application is, and you can share that with the people within your organization. Encourage them to apply. If they have questions or they're nervous or they're afraid they're not going to get it, have them call me. I'll be happy to talk to them. I really want to make an impact. If you're so inclined, the way Brian Kaltenbach lured me in with Olive Crest, you can also set up a monthly donation or one-time donation or annual donation, whatever you want, but everything will help change the trajectory of somebody's life in the future. So with that, I would say enjoy coffee, enjoy desserts, enjoy the rest of your evening. The one last reminder that I will give you is City of Hope is having their annual Harvest Ball on November 15th at the Hyatt Huntington Beach, I believe it is. There's still seats available, but you should hurry and get involved. It's a really special event. Cheryl, do you want to come up and say a couple words? No? Okay. Greg McNiff is the president this year, and he's going to be leading the charge. And my dear friend Amanda is going to be the keynote speaker, sharing the journey of her mom. So, if for no other reason than love, please join us. Because City of Hope does magnificent things, and I'm passionate about it, as many of you know. So thank you for being here. I hope you have a great night. Go Cubs.